catching some big ones.
Heck yeah. Now we're live, brother. What's up, guys? What is up? Welcome back to another episode of DeckTalk Podcast. And as you can see, our a good buddy Caleb Bell with BassQuest Fishing Charter is on with us. He does not quite look like Edwin Evers. And guys, I contacted him real quick. Just going to run over this. I contacted Edwin yesterday, and just to make sure that we were still good to go for tonight. And he is fishing on Gunnersville. And I thought it was the heavy hitters, but it's not the heavy hitters. It's something else that they got going on that he qualified for. And so we rescheduled for December 9th. And I just made a phone call and told, I asked Caleb, I said, hey, can we get you to come on episode for tomorrow? And he says, heck yeah. He says, I'm going to be coming in sideways. And as you can tell, he probably just lost service going to his house. So he will definitely be back with us. But with that being said, guys, it's going to be one fun episode. We are going to have Caleb talking about the fall transition and what bass are doing right now, coming from the summer transition, coming from deep water to shallow water, what bass are doing. Caleb is a phenomenal angler, and I like what I say every time that we have him on. I call him the fish whisperer. If I have any kind of questions about what in the world I'm seeing on the water, I call Caleb up, and he always makes it easier and breaks it down for me, guys. But with that being said, let's get this show started. We want to talk about do a little business real quick, and we're going to talk about Bruiser Baits. Bruiser Baits is a custom bait maker from plastic to hard baits. They have tungsten jigs. We have teamed up since the get-go for about 3.5, 4 years, have been with Bruiser Baits. And last year I had designed a color from Bruiser Baits, and it has been a phenomenal wherever I've gone, from Chickamauga, Nickajack, into Nashville, down to Georgia and Florida. We have been able to catch fish on that color. So if you want that color, make sure you go to Bruiser Baits and pick you out whatever kind of baits, and he will pour that color for you. I think that he is actually calling it the Chickamauga Magnet. But with that being said, guys, make sure you use the discount code DeckTalk10 at bruiserbaits.com. And if you don't know, guys, I'm Colin Burnett.
What's up, guys? I'm Pappy J, and today we're honoring an American hero, a true hero. They all are true heroes. LTC, Lieutenant Colonel John, 22-year in the United States Army. He exemplifies the dedication of a Cold War era soldier who maintained a strong U.S. presence in key strategic regions like the Korean Peninsula. His MOS, he was in the U.S. Army 11 Bravo. That's an infantryman. He had core combat role involvement, direct engagement, reconnaissance, and leadership infantry operations. He was assigned with the 101st Airborne Screaming Eagles. Like I said, he served 22 years. Yeah, he spent most of his time in Korea from 1982 to 2004. So with that being said, thank you, Lieutenant Colonel John Ingram. We salute you, brother. Thanks. Hat goes off to you.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, John. With that being said, this is the time that we have been waiting for. We have got the Puerto Rican redneck with us, and we got the fish whisperer, whatever you want to call him. he throws nothing but slabs in his boat, and he puts more big fish in a boat than I have seen anybody else put in a boat. And I'm not just saying that just because he's a good friend of mine. I have done it personally. When being out in the boat, I think we've got a record for every time that I've been out in the boat that I have gotten to double digit, just the wrong fish. But we guys, if you do not know, we have got Captain Caleb Bell with BassQuest Fishing Charters. Brother, what is up?
Not much, man. I'm just getting off the water. I hope y'all can hear me good.
Yeah, we got you good.
I had a heck of a day, man. Ran 2 trips today. I'm just now popping off. We fished a little late because we got on a really good bite and started catching some big ones. We caught a 9.5 and an 8 3/4 just about, and dumped off like a 7. It was going hot and heavy there. And then Colin shot me a text and was like, "Hey, you still on the podcast?" And I was like, yeah. One sec, let me get we get to the roof there." Absolutely,
Yeah.
got a little bit distracted.
And that happens pretty easily. Tentatively, I'm going to be off the water at this time, but if the fish are biting, don't expect me off. So you can't leave it when it's going good. So, but
Nah,
but
it was happening this morning. It was insane. I had a kids trip this morning, and they voted 83 bass this morning. That's a pretty good one. But this afternoon we went big fish hunting specifically with a group that I had, and we were successful there too. This overcast had them going. We're finally starting to get some fronts. Finally starting to drop the water temps a little bit and getting into this fall bite pretty good. You could really tell that there was a little bit of a mood swing the last few days, especially today.
Yeah. So now what we have already, I mean, the fall transition has already kind of started. So they're coming from deeper water into shallower water. So what are the baits that they are like mainly targeted on? Is it schooling shad, or is it just kind of just following whatever kind of little bait pod that they can find, or what is it that they're looking for?
I've really noticed, especially the schooling fish, there's always a good amount of largemouth on this lake that will chase with white bass. I've always said in the fall, if you can find the white bass somewhere very close to you is where the bass are. And that's what I'm starting to see. They're starting to push the flats, pop out of the creek channels, pushing the flats. And anywhere from about 7 to 14 foot of water or so is where I've been finding them. And they're on smaller bait, but there's definitely the better fish that I've found are on gizzard shad, and they're eating them like, I don't know, probably dollar bill size, like that decent size. That seems to be kind of the deal going on right now. Of course, there's always a bunch of as the water temps change, as we start to push into the fall, you'll have more and more fish and more bluegill that'll push from the deeper water into the shallow water. A lot of people don't realize, but bluegill, they're a deep water fish. They really like to live, like the bigger populations of them, I've noticed, live deep in the summertime. And I think what happens is you get a major push, and more bluegill will actually push up shallow and get into the grass. And I think that's, with those cooling temperatures, that's kind of the catalyst for that frog bite. When those mats are not 100 degrees, in the heat of the day anymore. That's why whenever it's early season, as far as frogging and punching and stuff, I'm always looking for, where current is pushing into a mat. You got current pushing into there, you're going to have stable water that gets pushed in there, or maybe there's a freshwater spring or like a creek inlet that's pushing a little bit cooler water into that mat. That seems to be a big deal early. And then as you start to cool down, that's when those fish seems like they push shallower and shallower. The bluegill And a lot of the shad, the shad start to pop into the mats too. I'm already seeing some of that. But you see more and more of it as the fall progresses, as we continue to drop water on Chickamauga. But it also happens on the stable bodies of water, like we know Guntersville, and Guntersville draws down, don't get me wrong, but I mean, we're not talking a lot, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a pretty reasonable amount. Whereas Nickajack is relatively stable all year round. Like we talk about that quite a bit, where Nickajack is kind of like a tidal fishery. It fluctuates up and down daily. Most of the time, it's a pretty stable flux, during the summer. In years past, we've always had it, it starts out low, gradually works its way up, ends, starts at 8,000, ends at 42,000 or something. That's kind of been the staple over the years. But what I've noticed, I think it has a lot to do with all the stuff they're doing on the upper side of the dam for the lock now. They're starting to make progress on the upper side. It seems like all summer long they've kept it, or tried to keep it, between like 16 and like upper 20s, which has made a big difference on that. So it's been relatively stable water, not as much of an influx. I think that has really helped the early grass bite on Nickajack, as far as like actual the mat bite. The gill grass bite's always good, but that actual mat bite seems like it was helped by that. So we got it a little earlier. But the other kind of double-edged sword to that is, now we're getting more flow in order to drop down Chickamauga, and that is very quickly changing the landscape on Nickajack, where you've got grass that's going away every day. Versus, Chickamauga, where grass is appearing every day because you're dropping, so you start to get more and more. So that's kind of the one, I guess, positive of a winter drawdown that we've got on Chig, is that less grass gets blown away as we're going, as we're dropping water. That stuff is hollowing out and becoming a mat. So you get this kind of a gradual flow of the mat starting to happen,
Yeah. Well, and it's with you talking about bluegill coming from summer from even like being the bigger bluegill, or from coming up shallow into the grass mats. And it's kind of funny that you say that, because like here the past 2 to 3 weeks, you're really starting to hear those mats come alive on Chickamauga. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, guys, it kind of it's like a little pop. It's almost like when you pour Rice Krispies into a bowl of cereal and pour milk in it, it's that little kind of popping that the Rice Krispies make is what you're going to hear. And so, have you noticed that as well?
I have. It's been happening for quite a while on Nickajack. But what I noticed, you can tell the difference if you really listen. You can tell the difference between what the bigger bluegill sound like and the smaller bluegill. And you do start to notice those bigger bluegill. And the same thing, you see them because like when you throw your frog in there, you'll spook them a lot of times.
Yeah.
So you're starting to see those bigger bluegill spooking in a lot of those areas. It just happens every year like that. As we start to cool down, it's like those fish will flood further and further back into that stuff. And I don't blame them. When it's 85 degrees and sunny outside, those mats in a foot and a half or less of water, they've got to be 100 degrees underneath there. Yeah. And you won't hear as many bluegill popping into that. But if you get out to an edge, or somewhere where the wind or the current's pushing in, got some stable water flowing in there, that's where you'll find the active mats early on.
Right. So, quick, John Pate has a question that says, who got you into reading fishing charts and maps? Do you still use them today, or are you using new electronics today?
So I actually still do use paper maps, and a lot of them I use. You can actually look up a lot of the old U.S. Forestry's maps. Just look it up. I can't remember some kind of government government.org or whatever, but you got a lot of the old maps. You could even see maps before the lakes were flooded. And so that could really help you kind of dial in, to me, I can visualize, we have a lot of that map on our sonars nowadays on our charts. But it really helps me visualize where the bridges were, what it looked like. If you get the old topo maps, you got a really good idea of what the terrain was like and where you got all your guts and your creek channels and stuff, kind of where the bedrock was. And you can see where the harder swings are, where the hard bottom's still going to be, what's stilted over. And it's just a lot of good information there. So I really, I've always been a map guy. So like I really have always enjoyed topographical maps when it came to backpacking and stuff like that. So it's kind of a natural progression. I'm trying to think of like the first people I really saw doing it. Big shout out to Johnny Schultz from Fish the Moment. He started out doing a lot of that stuff. He definitely had some good tips for me along the way, especially as far as like being able to pull my waypoints from Google Earth onto my units and stuff like that, like those conversions, because it's different on every brand, Humminbird, Lowrance, Garmin, whatnot. But that, and then he showed a video. You can probably still look this up, guys. It's been a few years ago now. It's crazy how long it's been. This is probably 2016 or something like that, where he was showing how to overlay like topographical maps or like a lake chart onto the topographical map and layer it. And so I started doing that with these maps and dragging them from like landmark to landmark and make my avionics charts and stuff. And also I would have another layer with the actual Google Earth images, especially if I could have multiple images from, through the history feature over time.
Yeah.
And so you can get some low water, some dirty water images, some images where the grass was really good, some images where the grass wasn't very good. And you can overlay all those layers and kind of scroll through them that way. So you have a really good indication of like how over time the terrain was affected due to the flooding and how and why, certain types of vegetation or maybe, house foundations or roadbeds or how that's all going to lay in there. Just helps visualize, all that information helps my brain put that stuff together. So it's always, it's been a thing that I've been able to do for forever is like take a topographical map and visualize it in my brain. Not everybody's brain works that way. It just happens to be how mine works. So it's kind of an obvious progression for me just with my learning style on how to find fish. So that's kind of what got us all into that deal.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of good information out there. Like Matt Allen and Tim Little, Tactical Bass, and they did a video. Now, this was years ago, but it was like how to read a topo map or something like that. And that just kind of, it lit the fire under me also, like, hey, like I can find these maps for my lakes and stuff like that. And it was a natural progression for me just because it's something I like to do. I like to look at maps. So I was like, how can I, how can this help? I don't think that I understood in the beginning how big of an impact that was on me and finding fish and like understanding bodies of water. It's definitely like a huge part of it. I tell people all the time, like you can take, all the sonars and live scope away from me. As long as I've got mapping, like I know what is going to happen as far as where vegetation is going to be, where shell beds are going to be, how fish are going to set up, where the current breaks are going to be. It's like, as long as I got that and I know where I am in relation to that, I'm still going to go out and catch fish.
Yeah. Well, the thing is I know you do a lot on your YouTube channel and stuff about like Chickamauga, Nickajack, Watts Bar, and stuff like that. That's right here locally to us.
Oh yeah.
But if you can learn, like to read those lakes, are you able to, like, let's say go up to Michigan and go up there and fish and be able to use the same principles to be able to do the same thing? Does it transfer from one place to another?
It transfers nationwide, but it transfers based on the type of lake. Like, you got to understand what kind of fishery that you're going to fish. So understanding like the types of lakes based off of how they look on the map. Whether it's a highland reservoir or in our case, the Tennessee River chain, those are lowland reservoirs. They tend to be a little bit shallower. They tend to have fewer creeks, fewer points, and a wider dam. That's a really good point that I think Matt Allen made that point years ago, is that, most of the time if you see a really wide dam, you're going to have a lowland reservoir versus if you've got a really narrow but steep dam, that's like mountainous. It makes sense, right? You've got like a mountain that was dammed up, and so you got all the guts, you got all the ridges, all the little valleys, which creates all the, most highland reservoirs, when you look at it, looks like a porcupine or a sea urchin or something, because you got so many pockets and points and little secondary creeks and stuff like that have a million secondary points on them. So it's pretty obvious. Once you see a few of them, you can kind of understand what you're looking at. Now, some of the natural lakes are a little bit different, where you're going to have, sometimes you have a dam, but it's just like a spillover. So you're not getting natural current flow through those very often at all, unless you're having a major influx of rain. And, and then you've got, when you get up north, Michigan, you've got glacial lakes, you've got little lakes that are, have higher iron levels, so they're tannic water, brackish water looking lakes, and then you've got lakes that are similar to the water clarity of ours. And all of this you can find out pretty easily by looking at the shape of the lake, and also, going back and, like I said, your Google Earth history. So you start using that history picture to go back in time. Look at this thing. What does it look like in high water? What does it look like with a big rain influx? What does it look like, under normal conditions? And one thing that's helped me on some of those northern lakes when it comes to like Michigan fishing is, if it's a smaller glacial lake, you can look at, go back in time and see like what part of the lake freezes over first, right?
Right.
So you can kind of tell, and what part thaws first. You can tell where the stable water is on that lake, and so that can give you an indication of what's going on out there. It's all breadcrumbs, right? It's all little bits of information that you're talking, and you're putting together a picture. And for me, I do much better if I do some homework in advance when I'm going to fish a new lake, whether it's in Michigan or Virginia or Alabama, it doesn't matter, or Florida. I've done a lot of map study stuff in Florida, but I've actually so one of the things that I offer on the website is map studies, and so I break down people's lakes, and it's been really nice. I've got tons of different states now, tons of different lakes that I've broken down one-on-one with people, and they've had great success going back and using that, the advice and the recording of the video that we've done in order to find fish on their lake. So if you've got a lake, for you guys that are Midwest or wherever you're at, if you've got a lake that's got you stumped, or you'd like to learn a little bit more about your local body of water, I am always game for doing one of those map studies. You can get on there and schedule one up, and we can go through and look at all that stuff. Because I really enjoy it, even if it's a lake that I'll never get to fish or anything like that. It's super fun.
Yeah. And that's one thing. Like
that's what I gather at all that is, and I'm the same way, Caleb. I can take a topo map, right, and look at it and get more information out of it as where I was to take a satellite map or a hybrid map or whatever, because you get a better feel of everything. You can see, and I mean, you can see all the creeks or the channels or the whatever. But out of all that, what I get is, if you do your homework with a topo map or any map, whatever map you have, but for me, a topo map works best. You're going to be successful at what you do. I mean, you're a prime example of that.
Yeah,
Right,
whether you're hunting or fishing, like deer hunting, elk hunting, any of that stuff, you can benefit from understanding topo maps. One of the things I tell people, if they're struggling, and I get it, like if you don't have any experience, if you weren't, didn't grow up camping or backpacking or orienteering, it's hard to visualize what you're actually seeing down there. So, especially when it comes to a chart, because you can't see underwater, right, with your eyeballs.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
I recommend people, go get a forestry's map of your local, near hill range, mountain range, whatever you want, and just go over there and get at a high point and just look at your topo. Get a little compass out. You can get a compass on your phone. Look at that topo and get an idea of what that looks like. The lay of the land on the map versus the lay of the land that you see visually with your eyes. And that'll give you a real good idea of what that actually looks like. And then you can kind of translate that once you sat there. And really, it doesn't take a whole lot of time. You can probably do that in, a couple hours, kind of wandering around and looking at your, especially key features like your ridges, your saddles, your valleys and stuff like that. Then you can dial in that kind of stuff. And then you know what you're looking at underwater.
Yeah.
So if you're having trouble with that, and maybe maps are not your thing, and that's fine. But like, I think anybody could benefit from using the history feature on Google Earth. That's tremendous right there. That feature right there. Or, and again, forestry maps. Like, even if you're not into the topo, like, you'll find roadbeds that are not marked. You'll find springs. You'll find house foundations. You'll find old ponds and stuff like that on forestry maps, on these homesteads and stuff like that. And you can use that devastating effect to overlay with your charts, or you don't even need the chart at that point, right? Like you take that Google point, you overlay that image, you take that Google pin, you convert it over to a waypoint, put it on your unit, so you can kind of bypass the topo learning. But I always recommend people
froze up.
I think.
And it's just goes to what he's saying. One of the things I like to do, like if I go to a new piece of property to hunt on that's public, I'll go to the history. I'll pull up the Google history. I got several apps that I use, and I'll see if when the oldest cutover or the newest cutover, because they'll go in there and they'll do a cutover on some of these pieces of property on public land. And I'll go in there and I'll look to see what's about 5 to 10 years old and really start to dial in and, what kind of terrain it is. So I know exactly what he's talking about these topo maps and using the Google Earth. He's right. Google Earth is tremendous, man. The things you can do with Google Earth is really, really beneficial.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is like, and I didn't think about it, like translating it from hunting to fishing until me and you started riding together. And I think we were coming back from Hazard, Kentucky one day, and you were talking about like it's the exact same thing. What's up? What you could see is the exact same thing as what it kind of is. So if you could see, just like what Caleb was saying, you will get a perspective of what it looks like up on the mountains and stuff like that. How the valleys roll and how these little creeks or whatever come through into the water, but how the points and stuff work out is what you can see on a mountain range or whatever, any kind of land terrain it's just the water. It's just underwater. So I didn't really put that into perspective until we were actually in the truck and you had said something, was it last year or something like that, when we were talking about map studies and stuff like that and having Caleb on. But Caleb, it looked like he was backing into his house. His Wi-Fi may be trying to pick up his phone. but I think that it's very, very interesting, and uh, we had we've been ever since then. I've kind of gotten more into it, and then this year, I mean, I'm not a big hunter by no means, guys, but Pappy he's ate up with it about like how I am with fishing, and so. Uh, I've been here with the past 2 years. Last year we went and walked around, and I done some flying a drone and stuff like that to help you out, where you can kind of see where we're at. And then this year, uh, we've been able to go and kind of scout around this little piece of land and stuff that you're going to be hunting on, and so. But that's kind of gotten me more into it because I'm putting it into perspective uh, as if I'm out on the boat and stuff. So
Yeah, right. Yeah, and you're exactly right. I'm kind of like Caleb. I've always been that guy that loves reading maps. I don't, just the lay of the land. If you can get a really good understanding of the lay of the land, it's going to help you with other pieces that you can put in that puzzle. But understanding the lay of the land is going to help you be successful, whether you're hunting, fishing, whatever it is. Um, it just gives you a better understanding, and that, in my opinion, is what makes or breaks somebody. You
yeah.
know.
So, but Caleb, did he freeze up again? No, there
No,
he
you
is.
better.
I don't know. You got me. My
Yeah,
phone's overheating on me. Is the problem here?
I gotcha. I do want to talk to you because not too long ago, you had two crazy guys out on your boat. One of them has a big old beard. And
Oh
one of
yeah.
the craziest things that I have ever seen, and
Oh yeah.
had happened, but people say, like, hey, once you hook a fish, that fish is done. And you
Yeah.
score lipped it. Can you tell us what happened? Because y'all had
Yeah.
something crazy that kind of disproved that fact and I mean, right off the go.
Y'all gotta watch that video. Alex Rose posted it up, but it's pretty wild. So Bailey, Brate from Serious Angler podcast, he was out with me with his dad and Alex, and we were kind of messing around. Well, Bailey hooks this great big fish, and he's real like he fights it all the way to the boat. It almost jumps, like gets right next to the boat. Boom, pops off, swims down. We're like, dang it, that was a big one because we saw it flash, and then right in front of us, and fought all the way to the boat, and then turned around and ate Alex's bait
Yeah, and that, I mean, when I first
on
seen
the
it,
way down. And
I thought that was Alex's hook in its mouth. Um, but then Alex was like, "That ain't mine," and he popped the little jig out of its mouth, and it had probably about like 2 foot of line where the line snapped, hanging out of its mouth and stuff like that as well.
That's
And
crazy.
then Alex, uh, his hook was in the net when they netted it, and so it was crazy to show the fact of, because all how, like, especially when, like, if we're pre-fishing for a tournament and stuff, and you're like, I don't want to sore lip them things, they will not eat. And this
Mm-hmm.
was literally like, you see in the video, uh, to where he's reeling it in, and then it just breaks, and then as Caleb's working his bait in, and it's almost up to the boat, and then Alex is like, "Ooh!" You see him hook set and start reeling it in, and they didn't realize it until after they got it in the net what it really was, that it happened to eat Alex's, even though that fish was almost out of the water. So maybe if the fish comes out of the water, that it may not have eaten, but the fish never did. And but go check that out on Alex Rudd Fishing on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, or whatever, and go check that video. It is a sight to be seen.
Yeah.
So,
I'm
like
sure, man. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff that happens out there that you wouldn't think. That's like that one time that me and you was out there fishing up. It was up on the upper end, and I was throwing a deep diving crankbait, and then lo and behold, I thought what I hooked into was a fish because it was acting like a fish. I mean, and Lord of mercy, everything was coming apart and falling apart, and I didn't know what was going on. And that was bad. And get it up to the boat, and doggone if I didn't catch another deep diving crankbait. It was like, what in the world is going on?
Hey, you about lost the reel on that deal, but you ended up coming out with about a $20 bait.
Yeah. I mean, hey, But anyways, we got all that situated and squared away, and I think, matter of fact, it wasn't. I can't remember if it was that trip. I think it was that trip where I lost mine, but then I started fishing with the one I caught. I believe it was. Anyhow, yeah. I mean, it's crazy, man. It gets kind of crazy out there. You just never know.
They, what happens out on the water? I mean, some of the things is like, the good Lord's looking after you, because we're not smart enough to be able to do something like that. So he's like, I'm going to bless you today. So,
yeah.
But for sure, I think Caleb's phone finally bit the dust with the heat. He may try to come on here, but we're going to try to. We're not going to try. We're going to wrap this thing up here in about 15 minutes, because old Pappy, he's got a dinner date. Him and the family's got a dinner date over at Mama's. So Mama's cooking dinner, so that sucker's going to be good. So
yeah, buddy.
But I want, with having you here, and we'll wait and see if Caleb's going to try to get right back on. There he is. He may be inside now. But, I knew it. So, let me fix this, guys, and I will.
Yo, got me?
We got you.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you loud and clear.
Yeah. So we got you fixed up now, and I told him, I said, I think his phone finally overheated enough to where he wouldn't. I said, he's at home. I said, watch, if he comes back on, he's going to be on the computer. So,
1 second, I can't hear y'all.
But yeah, Pappy. I mean, it's just the stuff that happens out on the water has just been kind of crazy, and it's fun to be able to have, and Caleb, he's the guide, but he also, he gets to have so many people out on that boat, and he, and just as well as I do, you've been out on the boat with him, that he is he's learning, even when he's getting paid to be able to teach somebody else. He's learning something from everybody that he has come on that boat, and and it's been fun, even having you on the boat, and I've learned so much even with you, with throwing a spinner bait, and just kind of the things that you look for. And that's the main thing, it's like, how can you, if you have another person on the boat, how can you utilize their set of eyes on the body of water, and their experience. And I think we've done fairly decent with it. And we need to get you back out on the water, but we hopefully here pretty soon we're going to be able to get that done too. So,
Oh
um,
yeah.
I
Well,
know you.
it's like everything else. Every day's a new day, right? And one thing I've learned about the great outdoors is, whether it's fishing, hunting, you hunting deer or elk or you know fowl or whatever. Every day's a different day, which every day is something you're going to learn. You're going to take something out of that day, whether it goes. I can't tell you how many times I've walked to the same tree, climbed up the same tree, and 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 not take a shot but see a ton of deer. But I've learned from that. I've learned from that. I can't tell you how many times I've been on Chickamauga. I've thrown everything in the boat at the fish and not catch nothing. But I've learned from that. I've learned the biggest thing is patience is the biggest thing. And that's a lot of times we get impatient as because we're chasing that big one. That's what we're all doing when we go out there. I'm chasing that big one, but I'm also going out there to uh, to learn new stuff to help me to be a better hunter, fisherman, or whatever it may be that I'm doing, so that I can be successful on my next hunt. Um, it's all about the thrill, and I can't. That's the one thing I love about doing what I do as far as out, on a lake or in the woods. You can kind of merge the two and make a happy marriage out of it and still be successful and still kind of use things about hunting and fishing together, which I've learned that over time, just
Yeah,
just by map reading and stuff like that. But yeah, it's man, I wouldn't take nothing for it. And that's for sure. I love
yeah.
it out there.
Well, the thing is, um, you know, we we kind of fish the same. I mean, pretty much. I
Oh,
mean, so we like doing the same things, but we've been able to learn and pick up things using the forward facing sonar, um, and it made it. And sometimes, it's the fact that uh, we have picked up on, maybe it's a brush pile or a rock pile that we've found on a
mhm.
ledge or on a point that for some odd reason it may just be one big old rock that is holding a school of fish. And so um, but being able to, and I think that's one thing with fishing and hunting, that you don't need to go out there thinking that I know everything. If you're not going out there, and because every time that you put that water or the boat in the water, or you go put that boots on the ground to go do some scouting or hunting and stuff like that, if you're not trying to figure out um, something new and learn something, and it don't have to be something that's huge. If you just go
Yeah,
out there, and if you just find something just minute, new, to where, all right, and it's just like kind of like what Caleb was saying. That's just the little crumbs, that you're picking up.
hmm
Because eventually you get enough of them crumbs, you're going to be able to put stuff together, and you're going to be able to get that full piece of that pie. And it's just a matter of time. And Caleb, he has done that over the years, and of being doing the map studies and stuff like that. And that's one reason why we wanted to have him on, as often as what we do is because a lot of people, they don't have the time. I mean, life is busy. You know how it is with having a boy playing football and baseball and stuff like that. That there's always some kind of ball that's going on. That life is always throwing you a curveball, and you may not have that time to go and do the map studies that you're wanting to do. But everybody wants to be able to have to go out there and like we see a lot of out of state tags and stuff on Chickamauga, and their goal is to catch a double digit. And
Mm-hmm.
the fact of it is, can you catch a double digit on Chickamauga? Yes.
No, yeah.
Is the likelihood of it of you coming and doing that is, I mean, I've caught one on Chickamauga and 25 years at Chickamauga, and
Oh, yeah.
and so the likelihood is not. But when you have somebody like Caleb that is on Chickamauga every day for 10, 12 hours, even more than that, I know that like he will get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and if he has a live bait guide, he'll get up 3 o'clock in the morning and go get some bait, and he's out there. He's living, breathing Chickamauga and Nickajack, and so if you have an opportunity to be able to go out, and even if you go out, like we just like how we do here on the podcast, guys, like Pappy and I've been out on the boat multiple times with Caleb. And so all we do is just ask a question, just bring up a scenario and just let him talk and just open your ears. And if you listen to what he's got to say, you are going to, by the end of the day, it's going to be an overload almost of what the information that he has. And he's so willing to be able to do it. And like,
Well, that's one of my favorite. That's one of my favorite things is when he does his map studies and his starts talking about map. Because man, I can relate to that.
yeah,
It is great, and
yeah.
the more I can ingest and understand, the better off I'm going to be.
Yeah, well, and the thing is when people think though that if you get that forward-facing sonar on that boat, them biggins are just going to be jumping in. You're going to be catching them biggins left and right. But
Yeah.
it takes time. Like let's say Wheeler, he's got thousands of hours looking at that screen, figuring out what he's doing. So if you can go out with a guy like Caleb that has no problem, that he wants to be able to share that information,
Hello.
and to where you're learning, that's part of his job. I mean, he enjoys being out on the water, but he enjoys taking that time showing you, and he will break things down a whole lot better than a lot of other people that I know.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, buddy, we got you.
I can finally hear you. The cat unplugged my speakers. I couldn't figure out how to plug them back in.
So, but no, we're just throwing you a little bit of plug. We're not trying to boost your ego by no means, but
I couldn't hear it anyway. I didn't catch it.
So, let's see. Steven says Rick Klein has said if you do not learn something every time you go out, you're wasting your time. That is correct.
You got that right. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe that.
But guys, I do again. This is not just a plug just because Caleb's on. I tell people all the time, in which if you're a regular viewer of the podcast, I mean, we'll talk. We'll have other people on, and I guarantee you, at least 2 times a month during the podcast, we'll have whoever on. Caleb Bell's name is brought up, and it's just because we've been out on the water. We know, we don't know what he knows because it's just like an encyclopedia of information. Every time that we go out, there's always some other little catch that he's picking up on, and that's the reason why I call him the fish whisperer, because it's just phenomenal. So, guys, I do want you to go and experience the BassQuest ride when you go, especially if you're trying to learn something new, and it doesn't matter if it's artificial or live bait. This is the man to want to go to. And so, even with the lake map studies, there's been times that like we've been out and I've gone to, let's say beforehand, before I even knew Caleb and we become friends and stuff. That's how I knew who Caleb was. And I just reached out to him and we went out fishing. And it was because Hunter Cordell says #legend. Capital letters.
Capital. My dude, Mr. Hunter.
So,
Hunter's the man.
And guys, and since Hunter has commented, if you have any kind of electrical wanting to rewire some units or put some lights, he's got some phenomenal lights that goes on the Elite Glow. Go check him out. That, I'm telling you, I need to put those lights. You put the lights that he designed on your boat.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, that is something about them, that those lights, they are sharp. And I really do like, I like the ones that he's got the black lights on the bow and the stern, and in the middle you got the green light.
Yeah, the green strip. So that the green strip gives you your ability to see the bank or a dock or whatever you're fishing, grass line, to actually make an accurate cast. The black light, helps you kind of see close to the boat, see your fishing line, see the net of fish. So it gives you the best of both worlds. But for y'all, people who don't know, like, not all LEDs are created equal at all. You can buy LEDs from all over the world, and there's all kinds of issues with them. Well, Hunter was the one that tracked that down, and he engineered some with, if you look at them, they're completely different, like really oversized fuses on there. So the circuits are a lot more beefy, and it's even difficult for me to screw them up, banging into docks and stuff like that. Is the coating that's on them, you don't have to worry about the UV damage. They don't yellow hardly at all. That's a big problem with LEDs, guys. If you put like regular LEDs, and some of the big brands out there, if you put them on your boat, like within a year, those things are just like yellow. You're not getting any light out of them. They look like garbage. And another thing is he's got these headlights. And when I tell you he's got a headlight that you can put on your boat, holy smokes. You can see freaking 300 yards of that thing. It's unbelievable. And it's small. It's compact. It'll fit on your old Trex or your other trolling motors, or it can mount on the boat. So it's just a whole lot of, like, he's got his own, he takes pride in what he does. He takes pride in engineering what's going on. And he takes that engineer's mind, and he's got he's really good at figuring out problems of any kind. Like, you see this guy, he can work on vehicles. He can do anything. He's one of those guys that, he could take apart his truck, throw it in the back of the garage, have the kids mix everything around, come back 3 months later and put the thing back together. And that's just not the way my brain works. So it's so cool to watch him and some of the guys in the shop just wire stuff up, make things clean. I've actually gone in there several times while I'm working on my boat and help them with different boats. And just to kind of sit there and watch their process is really neat. Like, it's one of those things, like, he should just do like live streams where people just watch them do their work, because it's like, it's really cool to watch. Just like, I don't know, it's like watching somebody pressure wash or something, like, you know what I mean? It's just like relaxing. You get to see the process. It's real clean, it's like satisfies every bit of OCD that you've got.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and both of us have had Hunter work on both of our boats and for years. But one thing that you cannot say about a lot of people that work on boats and stuff like that. I've called him at 11:30 one night. I was working on the boat and I didn't even realize what time that it was. I was just working on the boat and I had an issue and I was like, well, let me call Hunter real quick. It was 11:30 And that dude just answered the phone, and he didn't say nothing about, hey man, this is late. Hey, this is family time. No, he did not say nothing. He figured it out. And then I looked at the phone and I was like, dude, I'm sorry. It's 11:30. He says, man, you were coming to me, and I work on your boat and stuff like that. And so you are what pays my bills. And I'm telling you, it's nice to be able to have somebody like that. We can't hear you, Caleb. Let's see. We can't hear you. But Hunter says, Elite Glow, thanks for the support,
There you
guys.
go.
Okay, so
There you go.
one thing with Hunter is like he's an outdoorsman. He loves to night fish. He loves to bow fish, and he does a lot of his work later in the afternoon. So he starts a little later and gets done a lot later. And
Yeah.
that is phenomenal. Any of the guides around here, whether it's myself or Dylan or Tanner, he has helped us out tremendously. And another good one is golly, why can I not think of dude's name? It'll come to me here in a second. Derek Hicks.
Yeah.
He does all my Ultrex work and trolling motor work and stuff, and he's helped so many of us guides out really late. And that's so cool having a place that is open late where he's really ripping and roaring come 6-7 o'clock. Like that's prime time for him. So it's so nice for guys like us that are out on the water fishing. You come off the water, and instead of having to figure out a day coming up that you can get in with regular business, 9 to 5 business hours, you've got somebody that works outside of those hours a lot of the times. And it's just awesome. It's a great resource to have for any fisherman, and let alone guys that are guiding like myself. It's huge.
Yeah. So, well, it is after 7, Pappy. I just looked at the time. I'm sorry that we ran you.
Oh, you good, man?
That'd be
Caleb, he's got a dinner date with old Mama. So Mama's got some home cooking food, and he's like, I gotta get
Hey,
off,
you can't stand up the Mama law now.
No,
That's like a major no.
So, but real quick, guys, go check out Elite Glow. I mean, it's just not the lights, and it's
everything.
not the units and stuff like that they put on, because you can get the units anywhere.
Yeah.
But it's the customer service that you get, and then just
support too. Like he is, like, as far as the actual engineering, like the thought process behind the sonars, the way these programs work, like his brain understands that. So when he's putting things together for you, it's like he can think through all that and figure all that out. And it's wild to me. It's like Hunter could have an engineering degree. Like he could probably walk into any place and take a test and get one. Like I say that, I believe it. Like he has that mind. I don't know. Everybody knows somebody like that, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like he can do it. Like his brain comes up with that stuff. He knows this information. He can do your load calculations. He can do all kinds of stuff. And so it's not just like somebody rigging your boat. It's not just somebody following directions. It's somebody that can troubleshoot. It's somebody that can troubleshoot late. It's somebody that you can call and bring your boat back to and tear your boat up. In our case, like when it comes to me, Tanner, and Dylan and stuff, just destroy stuff, bring it back, and he can track down what we did, which is completely outside the normal realm of like, he's like, it shouldn't even be possible, but yeah, here we are. So
Hunter said Whitfield Electric for Derek. So make sure you go check them out, especially if you have any kind of trolling motor issues. And because eventually I was out on a boat with somebody. I'm not going to say any names, but I heard an old Trex all day for about 8 hours just to squalling. So.
Oh golly, yeah. I mean, my shout out to Minn Kota on that one, dude. My old Trex, it's a Gen 1, and it ran for almost like 6 or 8 months during the winter, where it had the seal in the lower unit was bad, so it would freeze solid. I'd throw it in the water and thaw it, and it would run. And before it finally went out, and Derek he's done a ton of work for me and the boys and everybody I know, like just the little things, switches. You throw a cast in it like I do, you get stuff really wet. You're out in the elements all the time. Switches, boards, cables that break, lower units. Putting a new foot on there. So if you've got an Ultrex or another trolling motor that breaks, don't just get rid of it. Don't necessarily call the manufacturer. It's like he'll do that. If your stuff is under warranty, like the first couple times he did it, he took care of all the warranty through Minn Kota also. I showed up, I left.
And that's big. If you could find somebody
I didn't have any out-of-pocket costs at all.
Yeah.
So, and then, I can't say enough about these guys. I mean, it's just, they're the ones that allow myself and, the other guides, the other hardcore anglers, tournament anglers in the area, like we wouldn't get stuff done without them. And everybody's got, anybody that's on the water 200 days a year has got to have people like that.
Yeah. So, well, we're going to let Pappy get over to Mama's. And Caleb, I want to say thanks for coming on. Yeah, you're all good, brother. You're all good, especially for last moment. It was me calling him up yesterday afternoon saying, "Hey, I need you to come on." He said, "All right, I'll be there." So, but we've asked you this. There ain't no telling how many times we've asked you this, but it's a tradition on the podcast to ask this last question. Pappy, you want to ask it, brother?
Caleb, I mean, you know the drill. If you had one person you could fish with, whether past or present, who would it be and why?
So I remember one of the first times I've come on with you guys, I answered that question. I said Mark Zona, just because I think it'd be fun as heck to go fishing with Mark Zona.
Yeah,
or just somebody hilarious that I could just sit there and be a goofball all day with. And then I think the last time I was on, I was feeling nostalgic, and I said my great grandfather, because I never got to meet my great grandfather. He's the one that got my pawpaw into fishing. He was a big time fisherman. He used to build his own boats, handmade boats, wooden boats, and they would go out and fish for whatever. That passed down the hunting and the fishing to my dad. My great grandfather, he was in the 101st Airborne.
Awesome.
He went through Bastogne, and it's a wild generation. It would have been amazing to know that man, to go out and hit the water with that guy. So So if I could do that, that would be awesome. So today, if I had to pick somebody, good Lord, I don't know. Can't really.
This is, and we've been friends for, there ain't no telling how long, Caleb, but I would love to have been able to see you and Aaron Martin on the boat, because
that would have been cool.
Just the knowledge between, and the finesse king,
I guarantee he was just as big of a nerd, and those guys right there, they pioneered a lot of this lake breakdowns. Before there was good charts, before there was any of this stuff, the ability to go back on Google Earth and stuff like that. Like, these guys were our forebears, that came through and did all that. And a lot of those guys are still, running around and fishing. It is an absolute tragedy that we don't have Aaron anymore, because he was bedrock. And I don't think a lot of people realize that. Like, he was, bedrock for the fishing community. A lot of different guys. He was just a very great human being, a responsible human being. someone who took care of himself, took care of those around him. He was just a pillar. I guess that'd be a good word. He was a pillar of the bass fishing community, not just tournaments, but as a whole. There's things that we do today that we do it because of Aaron Martin's. And that's to this
And
day.
we don't even think nothing about it.
How to do the hook set that I want them to do. If they're fishing with live bait or finesse fishing, I might set the hook like Aaron Martin's. And if you look on the pro tour today, a lot of these guys shaking a minnow, what do? They reel up and they lean. Like I can visualize that. Like I can see that as like a 12, 13-year-old kid watching. That shaped watching Aaron, watching Kevin Van Dam. That shaped the way I learned how to fight fish.
Yeah. Could you imagine like what he would do on the forward-facing sonar now?
Gosh. Everybody's lucky he didn't get a chance to really like take off with that because I think it would have been right up his alley. Anything that was new, anything that was cutting edge, whether it was from Japan or California, guys like Brent Ayler and Aaron Martins were at the pinnacle of that, no matter what it was, with the newest technology, the newest finesse fishing techniques. Those guys, I mean, I don't think people understand the dedication and like the work that goes into pioneering techniques.
Yeah,
I've never pioneered a technique.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to think so far outside the box and be so confident, and then to do it at that level that those guys did it. It's just, to me, that is the pinnacle of bass fishing, tournament fishing, is watching those boys. And we actually, I was talking tackle this morning, and Dylan turned on one of the old Bassmaster. It's like a heavy hitters event or something like that. And was watching all those boys. Back when the helicopter was chasing like 30 yards away, it looked like. Those guys are fishing for, $500,000. They're doing 7 figures in sponsorship dollars. ESPN era, when bass fishing was on a whole different trajectory. It's kind of a shame for the pro side of stuff that it's not, it's fallen off of that. But I think that was pinnacle as far as like tournament fishing. And I remember just like being like every other kid, right? Like you watch that and you're like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn how to do that. That's how we didn't have YouTube. That's how we learned the latest techniques, right? Like you got on there and you're like, drop shot. What the heck is that?
And it was, I can remember.
Donkey rig. What the heck's a donkey rig?
Yeah. I can remember the way how we learned was either through Bassmaster magazine or watching Bill, Jimmy, or Roland on Saturday mornings. That's how we learned.
Bill, man, I learned a ton of stuff from Bill. Jimmy Houston. You talk about great salt of the earth people. Like I really like Bill and Jimmy. Man, you talk about nostalgia. It just brings back all kinds of memories like that. But that shaped not only, I know it shaped my journey from just the love of fishing into the love of bass fishing, which led me down to the technical side of bass fishing, right?
Yeah.
Like that thing, but like just big time, the learning to fight the fish. I think that was one of the biggest things that I learned. Because I think the first 3 or 4 really big fish that I hooked, I lost. And I was like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm losing sleep over this. This is horrible. And so I went down that rabbit hole, and I would just key in and rewind and watch and key in and like, what are they doing different than I am? It's hardware. It's the action of the rods. And so you start going down that whole rabbit hole, and it just makes you a better fisherman.
Yeah.
Well, that being said, guys, we, as you can see, like here the past, I guess probably past month that at the beginning of the episodes, Pappy has been doing to where it's a, let's see, I forgot. I'm sorry, Pappy. It's a salute to valor, honoring an American hero. If you have somebody that you know or family members. It may be you or your husband, your wife, your kids, or whatever. If you know somebody that has served, they could still be with us or not. It does not matter. We want to honor them and give them the recognition that they well deserve, because um, we wouldn't be able to do what we do to be able to, if it was not for the guys that fought for this country, guys and gals, I guess, to be politically correct. So make sure that you can message Pappy or myself. If you want to send the email to us at Colin Burnett at DeckTalk Podcast or Josh Vaughn at DeckTalkPodcast.com. And we want to be able to honor the people that have served us. And so with that being said, I did want to be able to bring that up. So, and that goes for you, Caleb. We'd love to be able, if you can let us know. We would love to be able, your great grandfather to.
Absolutely, yeah. Get us that info.
Information on that. I'll get you some.
Yes, please do. Please do.
Gersh is really, really cool.
Yeah, well, you caught my attention when you said he was in Bastogne. That buddy, that right there was that was
my grandfather told stories about that, about them being like dog tired and waking up and like not understanding what's going on because everything's dark, and then realized he was covered in snow. But like he was breathing, so he had like a little hole where he had been breathing like the warm air. That's how tired those boys were and how underclothed and, just battle fatigue and everything. I mean, there was people that don't understand the history behind that. They were cut off from supplies. They couldn't get aerial supplies. They kept getting dropped with the on the Germans instead of us. And so most of those guys, they walked, mind you, into Bastogne, right past everybody that was coming out, that was shot all to pieces, without winter gear, without enough ammunition, without enough rations. Those some bad dudes.
Yeah.
Let's see. Next week we have Don and Will with Spike It. That's going to be a very informative. We're going. I think they actually got some new product that they are going to be talking about. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or not, but I think. But guys, that is something else that we have in the boat. I know. Caleb uses the dyes and stuff and as well.
The markers, and markers are my favorite.
Yeah, and it's just something that you can modify your baits and be able to use to be able to catch more fish. If there's one little thing that you can do, an edge that you can get, any kind of edge you can get fishing, better off you are, because you may be the only one that's doing that at that time on the body of water. So it may make a difference in between catching a limit or not. So
I think that smell helps too. You get all that garlic in there.
Yeah.
Might be some Italian bass down there that want a piece of that.
So we in the description, guys, there's a link that has BassQuest Fishing Charters, their website and stuff like that. Click it, schedule either a trip, half day, full day, do a lake breakdown. Even if you want to forward facing sonar school and stuff like that, this is the guy to do it. Yeah. And make sure that you go check them out. And the only way you're going to catch a big one is if you get out on the boat and do it. So, and excuse me, and Caleb, he puts them on. So, but brother, thank you again so much, especially on the short notice. Tell your wife that we said thank you for letting us grab you for an hour and 15 minutes. So,
I appreciate it, guys. Yeah, she was
Thank you.
super nice to me as I randomly just walked through the door, walked right past, and came back here to try to figure out how to get the computer to turn on. I'm gonna go out here and love on her and the kids for a little bit, and then go to bed and wake up tomorrow and go chase some biggins.
Sounds good, guys. Hope to see you next week, guys, and hope you have a blessed day. And we'll see you out on the water, guys.
Later.
See you.